make some broccoli cheese rice casserole. Sometimes I make this with chicken in it, but today we're just doing it as a side dish, so there's no meat involved. The first thing I'm going to do is mince an onion, and I've taken this yellow onion, I cut it in half and I put it in the freezer. That freezes in the juice so that it does not make my eyes water when I cut it. So now I'm just going to slice very thin, and yes, I'm wearing my cutting gloves again, along the onion, and then very tiny slices diagonal are going to give me a minced feel. And if you feel like your pieces are too big, because they are supposed to be very small, just run your knife over the group of them again like this, and you'll get tiny, tiny slices. Okay, so we need one full onion. I've already done most of it. It's over there. And I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to head over to the skillet. So to make our broccoli rice casserole, the first thing we've got to do is get our pan hot. I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of oil, vegetable oil, to the pan. Let that heat up, and then we're going to add our onions. Well, it's an onion that we've minced. We want to get this hot first. Otherwise, the onions are just going to soak up the oil instead of frying in the oil, and you want the flavor from the onions more than you want anything else. That sizzle means it's ready. So we're going to add the onion. Cook just until they become translucent, so you don't see the white in them anymore. They look almost see-through. This should only take a couple of minutes for it to get to the right texture that we want. We just want them soft, not burnt. And then to this, we're going to add 3 teaspoons of minced garlic. Now I bought the garlic minced this time instead of mincing my own because I couldn't find whole bolled garlic today. But if you mince your own, you need about 6 bowls to get the amount of garlic that you need to get the 3 tablespoons, or teaspoons, sorry. So we're going to stir in the garlic just until it gets to be a little bit fragrant. We're not trying to burn the garlic either. The next thing I'm going to add is my 4 cups of long grain white rice, and just get it a little bit mixed into that oil. And then I cook my rice in a combination of chicken stock and water. I think it gives it a better flavor. And I use low sodium chicken stock instead of the full sodium because we have a salt thing around here. So I have 4 cups of low sodium chicken broth. And then I have 2 cups of water. Now we're going to bring this to a boil. Wait till it just starts to boil and then turn the heat way down and let it simmer for about 40 minutes until all the liquid is absorbed and the rice is fully cooked. So if you notice, there's bubbles starting to pop up. We're starting to boil. So now what I want to do is put my lid right back on and take it down to 1 or probably the lowest setting on my stove, and then set my timer. I'm going to come back and check it in 30 minutes, so it's probably going to take 40 to cook. I want to check it at 30 so it doesn't start to burn the bottom of the pan. So it took about an hour and a half actually for the rice to cook, and I had to move it to a bigger pot because when I've cooked it in the past I've used 2 cups of rice instead of 4, but I needed a lot more rice this time. Anyway, Make sure the pot is big enough for the rice that you want to cook, because there was not enough room for the rice itself to expand, so I had to change pots. But we are ready now. If you can look inside, the rice is all cooked, light and fluffy. And now we are going to head on back to the table where we're going to add our cheese and broccoli. So we have our 4 cups of rice cooked. I'm going to learn to speak this week. I'm going to add 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. There are 4 in this cup, so I'm only going to add about half of it. Stir this around, and then we're going to add some broccoli. I have 3 heads of broccoli that I started with, and then I'm going to cut them into itty bitty pieces and stir them around and mix in with the rice. Okay, so I've already started with the first head. As you can see, we've got some small pieces of broccoli, manageable so that people can eat in a bite. Then we're going to just keep cutting and adding the broccoli to the rice as we go. So I've chopped up all 3 of our heads of broccoli, and as you can see, they're all in there. And now we're going to stir it up. You want to make sure that every bite you come across has a piece of broccoli in it. And then I doubled this recipe, so there is a lot. And I forgot to double the cheese on top. I remember to double the cheese inside. So I'm going to make 2 of the casseroles, and only 1 of them can I cover in cheese till I get more cheese. So all we're going to do is spread it throughout the entire pan. Now I was telling a friend of ours that's here that if she wants, she can go to the grocery store, get a rotisserie chicken, chop up little pieces of it, and put it in here and have a full meal with protein, because she's got pretty much everything she needs. She's got a grain, she's got cheese, which is a protein, chicken, also a protein, and broccoli, vegetable. So I'm going to take the last 2 cups of cheese, and I'm going to sprinkle over the top, and you want to cover the entire casserole. And then we are going to bake it in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes with a lid on to hold in all that steam. You don't want to dry out your rice, because dry rice is not yummy. So we'll stick it in the oven and we'll be back. So our broccoli, cheese, rice casserole was in the oven for about 10 minutes, and now we are going to see cheesy goodness melted on top, and we're ready to serve.